I've been looking forward to this one. And that song, the first time I heard that song, I just wept through the whole thing because I had just found my faith home. So I love that song. I want to thank in advance the people that are here to help us with this service, for my kids and their families and Cherry. And my name is Janen Wright. I use the pronouns she and hers. I'm a worship associate and also the director of religious education at Namaqua. This worship will be recorded for those that aren't here. And please continue to keep your microphones on mute so that the sound is better. I also want to thank this congregation for being so patient and gracious when it comes to technology. We have our glitches, but you've been such a wonderful congregation to offer these online services for. And a special thanks to Chad, who is so generous with his time. And he's our tech man today. Thank you so much, Chad. Now, Aiden Christensen has our official words of welcome. And then Taylor will do our chalice lighting while Laurel lights the actual chalice. And she'll also lead us in our congregational affirmation. Aiden.
Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here.
Taylor.
Come into this circle of community. Come into this sacred space. Bring your whole self. Bring the joy that makes your heart sing. Bring your kindness and compassion. Bring also your sorrow, your pain. Bring your brokenness and disappointments. On this Religious Education Sunday, may we know the joy of wholeness. May we know the joy of being together. Now please join me in saying our congregational affirmation. Love is a spirit, not you, church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And now we'll have our opening song by Carrie Newcomer.
Truth I learned when I was 8. My dad swam the lake, the Spirit Lake. Yeah, there must have been a million miles. This I knew was true. My mother sang while hanging clothes. Her notes weren't perfect. They just let go. Make space for seeds to grow. And every season brings a change. A tree is what a seed contains. To die and live his life's refrain. I left her with some groceries. Said, check the oil and call me, please. And she said, hey, Ma, I'll be just fine. This I knew was true. 'Cause leaves don't drop, they just let go. And make a space for seeds to grow. And every season brings a change. A tree is what a seed contains. To die, then live his life's refrain. from certainty to read. God speaks in rhyme and paradox. This I know is true. And finally when my life is through, I'm what I am, not what I do. 'Cause it comes down to you in your next breath. This I know is true. 'Cause leaves don't drop, they just let go. And make a space for seeds to grow. And every season brings a change. A tree is what a seed contains. To die, to live is life's refrain.
So I'm going to read a couple of readings about religious education. The first one is from William Ellery Channing, famous Unitarian minister. And this is what he said. The great purpose of religious education is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own. Not to make them see with our eyes, but to look inquiringly and steadily with their own. Not to give them a definite amount of knowledge, but to inspire a fervent love of truth. In a word, the great end of religious education is to awaken the soul, to excite and cherish spiritual life. And the second one is by Sophia Lyon Foz. She was a Unitarian who died in the 1970s, but she had what was then quite a revolutionary idea about religious education. She developed a method that would help children develop their own ideas about religion and spirituality. Pretty radical then. And here's what she said. It matters what you believe. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. So whether we're young or old or somewhere in between, we're all part of the same circle of life. When my son was a little boy, for it seems like years, every time he got to choose a movie, he chose The Lion King. So when I came across this video of how it was made and Elton John singing it and everything, it just meant a lot to me. So I wanted to share it with you today. I'm going to share my screen.
Work starts fast, so finish fast with the brand new Samsung Galaxy Note 20 5G. It keeps you on top of things throughout your day with help from the responsive S Pen, giving you time to relax, enjoy games, or stream your faves.
That's what we're doing together. We're on the path unwinding the circle of life that we share, and we celebrate the birth of newborn babies, and today we celebrate our young ones growing up in our midst, and our old ones, some who passed away. And one of the ways that we really create bonds of meaning and are deeply connected in one another's lives is by taking time each Sunday to share our joys and sorrows. So we're trying an experiment today. And while we listen to music, I invite each of you, if you have a joy or sorrow to share, to go down to the bottom of your screen and click on the chat button and put your joy or sorrow in the chat room. And after we listen to this music, another beautiful song by Carrie Newcomer with words written by the Quaker writer, Parker Palmer. After that, I'll read out loud the joys and sorrows.
Bring a cup of water, here's the best that I can offer. In the dusk of coming night, there is evidence of light. With the pattering of rain, let us bow as if in grace. Consider all the ways we heal and how a heart can break. Oh, abide with me where it's breathless and it's empty. Yes, abide with me, and we'll pass the evening gently. Stay awake with me, and we'll listen more intently to something wordless and remaining, sure and ever changing in the quietness of now. Let us ponder the unknown, what is hidden and what's whole, and finally learn to travel at the speed of our own souls. There is a living water, a spirit cutting through, always changing, always making all things new. Oh, abide with me where it's breathless and it's empty. Yes, abide with me, and we'll pass the evening gently. Stay awake with me, and we'll listen more intently to something wordless and remaining, sure and ever changing in the quietness of now. There are things I cannot prove, and still somehow I know it's like a message in a bottle that some unseen hand has thrown. You don't have to be afraid, you don't have to walk alone. I don't know, but I suspect that it will feel like and it's empty. Yes, abide with me, and we'll pass the evening gently. Stay awake with me, and we'll listen more intently to something wordless and remaining, sure and ever changing in the quietness of now.
Boy, Janen, you sure do pick some good songs. So when I read your joy or sorrow, would you raise your hand so that maybe if you're visible, someone will know who you are? I wanted to say thank you for my birthday parade that was last Sunday. It was one of the high points of any birthday I've ever had. So thank you to Kathy Hartman and Francie, who organized it, and to all of you who were able to drive by my home. So I do still have some balloons knocking around in my house, and I feel very celebrated and grateful. Donna Leonard, who is there with Taylor, if you want to raise your hand, she says that her dad finally is moving here from Los Angeles this coming week, and her mom is already there. So congratulations and welcome to them. And Fran Green, if you want to raise your hand. Bob and Fran's dear friend, Bob Schneider, is hospitalized in Richmond and is probably in the final stages of cancer. So I'm sorry. It's the circle of life. It's hard. I will put his name on my altar, Fran. He's the poet, right? Oh no, he's not the poet, okay. And then Angela, Ange and Liz just completed their first week of remote learning. So I don't know where you are, Ange and Liz, but if you want to raise your hand. And the good news is it wasn't terrible. And then I had the other joy of Brad Willenbrock with us from Beverly, Massachusetts, and Karen Brock with us from Morocco. So great to see you both. And Barbara Fleming had a big loss. Barbara's longtime friend, Jean Whites, died last week at age 95. She was a remarkable woman, a loyal friend, since I think you said, Barbara, 1965, and extraordinarily kind, and she is missed. And then Janet Gillette, if you want to raise your hand, the song Circle of Life got her. She said, I call Diego my little lion cub because he has the face and mane of a lion. He's doing well right now. The father of my children is not. And also another sorrow, perhaps. I didn't get the job I thought I would, but I hope there's one even better out there for you. And Margot says to Donna, whose folks are going to be under her roof, congratulations. And Renee Poole, if you want to raise your hand. My joy this morning is that we finally closed on our house this past week. So now you're down to only one home to take care of. All right, congratulations. And then Francie, raise your hand. Our son, David, got the job he was hoping for, and he has enough time before starting to finish his degree and come visit in Colorado and Wyoming. So he's staying with us right now. He's up in Laramie, seeing some old friends. And Fran Green, hello. And then from our far-flung Karen Brock, hello to everyone from Morocco, where I've moved to teach English at Al Akhawan University. So she arrived last Sunday and had a great week of orientation and fellowship with the new faculty and my colleagues at the Language Center where I'll teach. I miss Ian, her son, and Talk, her dog, terribly. But I'm enjoying myself so far. Big joy to join NUUC from the other side of the world. And the joy is mutual, Karen. And then Curtis and Donna. Curtis's mom has been getting worse in the past weeks. We had to give her set up on hospice a week ago. She hasn't been eating much or sleeping much either the past weeks, and it's been hard. I'm sorry, Curtis and Donna. That's really rough. Our hearts go out to you, send you comfort. And Ange is still in love with Liz. They celebrated their first anniversary just a little while ago. I had the honor of officiating at that goat farm of Liz's sister. And then Margot, virtual school starts this week for her 3 kiddos. So good luck with that. And I think some of you are in the same boat who've got kiddos. And then Brenda, has been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia due to COVID-19. Finally, I'm grateful to have a diagnosis to treat symptoms. My heart is still not operating properly, and I have a cardiac MRI in September. But my joy is being able to be home to support Aiden with school and seeing your faces. So Brenda, wow, almost 4 months now, a long time. So I'm glad you do have a diagnosis, and believe me, we're walking every step of the way with you. And Atuya, carrying on. These times are hard. I can't go to India and be with my teacher who I love so much, Amma, and all my friends. The smoke is better today. I got a contract on my house, and the inheritance I've been here to work on is much less than I thought, but there's enough if I don't spend much. I have a good friend I talk to every day. So thanks for joining us, Atuya. I hope we get to meet you in person again soon. And Aiden Christensen, yay, I got through my first week of school. Woohoo! 1 week down. And Atuya, you can do it, Aiden. We're all saying that to you, Aiden.
Thank you.
And from Sierra Laurel, joy, feeling connected and new supportive friends. A joy. And congratulations from Donna to Aiden. And Aiden is thanking all of us for our good wishes. More, Janet Gillette, no worries, Aiden, you'll kill it. And then Renee agrees that Janen sure did pick some good songs. And then Sue, who is there with her son, Aiden, with an A. My first day of school starts in 2 days, so good luck with that, Sue. And then Steve and Karen Dornsife, Kaylee, their granddaughter, had a good first week of virtual high school, and she's enjoying her new classes in acting and German. So I know Steve spent time in Germany, so maybe they can speak German together. And Aiden, cool. Cool. Shirley Rawson says, yesterday, my sister and her husband, Don, celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary remotely. So her husband is named Don too. It was a joy to see friends and relatives from Hawaii to Scotland and share memories and catch up on news. The years have brought 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and 8 greats. Hopes for the future. Indeed. Angela wants us to know that Liz, the one she's still in love with, is listening off camera. And Aiden is giving us a little smiley face. All right. So many, many joys and sorrows. And truly, we are traveling the circle of life together. And it is such a pleasure to have people to celebrate with our joys, and to send us comfort and love in our sorrows. We are definitely not alone. And so to close, let's do that prayer again where I'll say a line, and if you'll please repeat it after me. May I be safe. May I be well. May I know joy. May I be free. May you be safe. May you be well. May you know joy. May you be free. May all be safe. May all be well. May all know joy. May all be free. Thank you.
So one of my friends in Boulder is one of those rare to find lifelong UUs. She's grown up now, but her past teacher, who's also still a member of the same church told us a story about her. I'll call her Maggie. So when Maggie was like 4 years old, this teacher was teaching a lesson on our first principle, respect for everyone. Little 4-year-old Maggie piped up, "I don't think the grown-ups respect the kids in this church." Surprised, her teacher asked Maggie what she meant. "Well," she answered, "during worship, when it's time for us kids to go to our classes, they always sing that song, and then they all tell us, 'So beat it.'" To this day, whenever anyone ends their words with, "So be it," I have to smile. I count getting to be with kids and youth as one of the greatest blessings of my life. I've worked with kids and teens in many capacities, as a mother, a nanny, in the school district, as a preschool teacher, and now as a DRE. For this reflection, I asked myself, what are my top 3 learnings when it comes to what can we really hope to give our kids? And it was hard to narrow down, but I decided maybe it would have something to do with the importance of story, the importance of play, and the importance of being the best that we can. So it's well documented how people pass on knowledge and values and give the rising generation a sense of belonging. It is and always will be through the medium of story. Humans are just hardwired for story, adults and kids alike. In RE, whenever I start telling a story, the kids are all ears, and I'm sure many of you have had that experience. In a home setting, research shows that kids love to hear the story of when they were born, how their parents met. They love family folklore like the crazy, adventures of Uncle Jack or Cousin Claire. They love how their grandparents didn't have electricity and those type of stories. These stories give kids a sense of belonging in their family. And UU stories give kids a sense of belonging to their faith. Unitarian Universalism has a long and colorful past. Actually, it has 2 pasts. And there's amazing stories of amazing people who do amazing things. I love getting to share these stories with our kids. My favorite story was one I heard right off the bat, and it's remained my favorite, about how John Murray came to America to flee being a minister in England, and because of a storm that blew his ship off course, he ended up meeting Thomas Potter, who had already built a church on his property for the right minister to come along. That was a good day for all of us, and I just love that story. Okay, second, the importance of play has become a key piece of my philosophy when it comes to raising healthy and happy kids. I got a kick out of this when I read a 19th century school or church school policy from a mainline faith cited, "We prohibit play in the strongest terms. Let this rule be observed with the strictest adherence. For those who play when they are young will play when they are old." Heaven forbid, right? Well, we have come a long way from that mentality, and there is starting to be fascinating research on the importance of play. If you haven't looked into it, I suggest that you do. Basically, unstructured imaginative play has a biological place in our development, much like sleep. The opposite of play is not work, it's depression. Our kids need to play, and healthy people never stop playing. Social play helps give a sense of belonging to the group, and we can also see in the animal world that invitations to play are correlated with trust. So very important. Humans are the only animal designed to play throughout our whole lifetime, and anthropologists believe that this is what gives humans a leg up on youth retention and also adaptability. So Stuart Brown is one of the leading researchers on play, and he tells a fascinating thing that they did. So rats have a particular stage where they play a lot and interact a lot. So what they did was take some rats, and they didn't allow them to play during this stage of development. Then they brought a collar saturated with the scent of a cat and presented it to the non-player rats as well as just your typical rat. Initially, all the rats ran for safety and stayed hidden, but it was only the rats that had been allowed to play that eventually started to venture out to see if the threat was real or if they could resume life as they knew it. So an X-ray showed the brains of the non-player rats were very underdeveloped. Play researchers lament how this modern childhood, we have way more structured and non-creative time than playtime. And I think maybe the pandemic has helped in that regard, just to slow us all down. But we have to remember that playing an organized sports team or, following instructions to make a certain creation have their own merits, but they don't count as play. To play is to have no particular outcome or purpose. It's just wide open. As far as religious education goes, there was a day when I would bring a craft and we would all turn out something of the same thing. But now I rather just bring the materials and put them out on the table and see what the kids make of them. They are so imaginative. Although this means that we don't have anything too impressive to show our parents when they come, at the end of class, I have observed that it's during this unstructured playtime that a lot of good conversation and feelings of well-being and connection take place. So play, it's very important both for adults and kids. And finally, one of the most important concepts that I learned as a parent that translates into being an RE teacher is that what you do or say never affects a relationship as much as who you are. We've all heard the famous quote from Maya Angelou when she says, at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel. So in parenting, how much you read to your child or how many hours of screen time you allow them to have or anything else you can control is not as important as the person you are. That's where your influence lies. Who you are is the biggest influence in any relationship that you have. Another friend in a past congregation liked to tell the story of a lady in her home church who was first her mystery pal, but then became an adult in her life who deeply cared about her. This lady took her out to lunch now and again. She'd send birthday cards. She would, she talked to her when her parents went through a difficult divorce. This lady attended her wedding. She was one of the first people to hold her newborn child. In fact, my friend believes that the reason why she remained you all her life when her family fell away was due to the influence of this one lady in her congregation who truly gave of herself. So in closing, it is my delight to work with the children and youth of Namakwa. And I invite everyone to join me when we get back in person. We'll have our sign-up sheet and you can come down to the RE room and guarantee you'll enjoy our kids. But meanwhile, starting in September, we're going to have a 20-minute RE Zoom meeting from 9:30 to 9:50, just a short segment where we can introduce the theme for the kids. And you are all more than welcome to join us with that. So it's the second Sunday, kind of rhymes. In closing, it seems to me that we spend our whole lives as grown-ups trying to get back something that we had already as kids. We can learn so much from our youth. We can listen to their stories, they can teach us how to play, and being around them helps us to find our way to being our best selves. So be it.
So be it. All right, so it's time for us to receive our offering. Our half plate ministry recipient this quarter is Neighbor to Neighbor. And a Neighbor to Neighbor helps people stay in their homes, regain stability, and in some cases even allows them to achieve home ownership. So Neighbor to Neighbor offers private counseling, budget education, foreclosure prevention, and their counseling is both in English and Spanish. So the way this works is that Chad will post Janet, can you repeat the announcement? I'll make some announcements at the end. So Chad will post the donation button on your chat room. So again, but go down to the bottom with your mouse and click on it, and there it is. And in the meantime, enjoy one of our UU classics, Spirit of Light. And to bless our offering, please repeat after me. We dedicate ourselves and these our offerings to the vision of this congregation, which is to radiate love, peace, and justice. As together we work and play to build beloved community. Thank you. I wanted to spend a little bit of time complimenting, well, first of all, complimenting Janen. Janen, you are such a blessing to our congregation. I appreciate so much your skill and your experience that you've brought, your obvious passion and love of what you do, your creativity, your initiative. You are truly a blessing and a gift to our congregation. I'm so glad we found each other. And as I said earlier, you are dynamite at picking out good songs. So Janen is our Director of Religious Education for our children and youth. The title of my reflection is that we are all learners and we are all teachers. What I want to lift up today is what we have offering to all of you this fall by way of coming back to school, because we're all still students, and what our fall offerings are in what we call adult enrichment. So some of you know that we just finished a series of classes. We had 2 covenant groups. For any of you who read the newsletter, and I'm hoping that you do, I had last month in my column some testimonials that we collected from the covenant groups. And in fact, the one that Janen and I co-facilitated had kind of a little reunion where we met each other over at Namaqua Park, and keeping social distance and masks, we had lunch together, which is a possibility that we can all participate in. Another thing that just finished, Chad has really taken some initiative, and he had a class called the Happiness Advantage Book Club that just finished. He had a book that was very meaningful to him, and so he wanted to share it with the congregation. And also he just finished facilitating another round of the White Fragility class. So this is a book discussion, and this is by Robin DiAngelo, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. And then also we're in the midst of a book and discussion on how to be an anti-racist. So there are, I think, 3 groups that are reading this book together and discussing it. So we in our congregation are taking seriously what is going on in our country. And like many people all over the United States, we're learning about systemic racism and what our role is in dismantling it. Also, our worship associates, we have 10. Some have stepped back, but others have remained. And then we have a couple of new ones. For the 2nd year now, we're doing a sermon writing seminar, which is fantastic. It's written by Erica Hewitt, one of my UU colleagues, and it's a sermon seminar for lay people. And so during the course of the year, the worship associates have an opportunity to write reflections ranging at the beginning to 300 words, and then by the end, a full-blown sermon. So this is one of the ways that we are training. And by the way, I use the term lay, like lay leaders, lay worship associates. The origin of that word means chosen. And one of my favorite old books, it's probably not in print anymore, is called All Are Chosen, and it's stories of lay leadership. And this congregation is blessed to have an incredible group of very skilled, committed lay leaders. And I'm hoping that after my little talk this morning, that some of you will step up and find the initiative and the courage to maybe offer some classes. So Chad, if you'll show what I gave to you yesterday. This is just a little taste of what's going to come out in catalog form, probably within the next week or so. Our adult enrichment co-chairs are Elizabeth Frazier and Peter Schenk. And with their help, I'm going to have a description as well as the titles that I'm going to read to you now. So one of the things that the RE ministry team and Janen have initiated is this idea to match adults and children to be pen pals. So Janen just shared that story of how meaningful the relationship was that was rooted in mystery friends. And so this is another way that we can make connections with each other and find out a little bit about one another in our multi-generational community. And so if you're interested in that, I think contact Janen and she'll be matching you up, and maybe the kids can also write to each other. And if we have more adults than kids who are interested, maybe we can be pen pals, adult to adult. Susan Moody and Janen, remember a couple of weeks ago, did a service on Buddhism and paganism. And so they've got this idea to resurrect what we've done here a little bit before in past years, which is to start a meditation and discussion group. So there will be a first meeting. Janen or Susan, when is that first meeting?
It's Tuesday. Let me grab that.
It's in
I
September.
think it's like the 15th. Yeah, September.
It's the 15th.
So if you're interested in that, It will be on our calendar, or no, you're going to meet in person, aren't you?
We are meeting in person with
So-
space, with distancing.
Right, so more information on that will be forthcoming, but that's something that will have no end. It'll just go as long as it goes. And then one of the ways to orient people to our congregation is just a short 1.5 hour class that membership chair Alice Kane and I do, which is called Pathways to Membership. We'll be offering that and seeing if people sign up. And then I haven't taught this for a little while, but Exploring Our Chosen Faith is based on a book that goes through our 6 Unitarian Universalist principles. And it's a really great introduction to the principles that are actually going to be revised potentially within the next couple of years. But I think before we take a look at the revisions, we need to know where we are right now. So I'm inviting not only people who are relatively new to Unitarian Universalism to consider taking the class, but any of you who'd like to find out more about our sources. And by sources, I mean Christians have the Bible as a source, Muslims have the Quran as a source, Unitarian Universalists have 6 different sources. And we talked about that, we've talked about that off and on over the years. So those are only 4 sessions that I'll be teaching. Also, Alice Kane and I last spring taught a class, again, to kind of orient people to Unitarian Universalism and to make connections in our congregation, Starting Point. And then Building Your Own Theology. Both Doug and I have taught this in the past, but we will, offer it again, probably on a Tuesday evening. So Building Your Own Theology. We do have a theology. Unitarian Universalists have been around for centuries, but you to some extent, get to choose what we believe based on our experience. And so the introduction goes through things such as human nature. What is your belief about human nature? Are humans born good, bad, capacity for evil, capacity for kindness? And that will be 9 2-hour sessions. Doug Stewart in the past has taught a couple of times this 1 3-hour session about transitions, making sense of life's changes. And so he said some people are interested in that again, so he'll be offering it. The Soul Matters Covenant groups I've been kind of obsessing about. So again, we're having an opportunity to resume with another group of people for 8 2-hour sessions. And then Evensong we haven't done for a little while, but this is an 8-week series of gatherings. I think some of you have probably done it in the past. Both Doug Stewart and I have taught it, but we'll offer this. Another similar course is called Heart to Heart, and that's 14 2-hour sessions. And then do you remember a number of months ago, it was Hannah Rodriguez who had an idea of doing the Artist's Way, and lots of people signed up for it. Then she got pregnant and stepped back. But I think that if enough people are still interested in it, that would be another potential adult enrichment class. So I wanted to make a pitch, not only for you to consider joining one of those things that I just mentioned, but also to step up like Chad did when he did his happiness class and see whether you may be willing to throw your hat in the ring and offer to teach a class. In the past, Barbara Fleming and I have done Roots and Wings. We did that Transcendentalism class. Mim, I guess it was last year, did something based on the 13 original Klan women, and that was a 7th principle class. When we were becoming a welcoming congregation, we had a class on terminology. Sky's the limit. And so in terms of all of us being chosen and all of us being both learners and teachers, if you do have an idea, what I would encourage you to do is to write to either me or Elizabeth Fraser or Peter Schenk with your idea, and we'll include it in the catalog. So when the catalog comes out, we're going to figure out a way that you can sign up online and then we'll figure out what the schedule will be. If not enough people sign up, we'll just land lightly on the possibility and just drop it if there's not enough interest. But in this time of us having extra time and our lives perhaps slowing down, this might be a good opportunity for you all to participate and to go back to school. So I don't know about you, but I always loved the fall that we got to go back to school, or for any of you who went to college, signing up for classes and then having a big stack of books on your desk. It's like sitting down to a delicious meal. So I encourage you all to consider taking a class, and maybe even more so offering one. So that's all I have to say today. But watch out for that catalog, and I'm hoping that I'll get to know some of you better, and you'll get to know one another better in a small group setting. And it's one of the ways that we can keep our beloved community going in this strange time of the pandemic. So may it be so. And now for the chalice extinguishing, we have the other Aiden with an A. When I say that, it's because both Aiden Christensen and Aiden Comer have A-I-D-A-N instead of E-N. So that's why we call him Aiden with an A. So Aiden, if you read the words, I will extinguish the chalice.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Good job. Thank you, Aiden. And for our closing song, sit back and enjoy this amazing rendition of We Are the World.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me.
Yeah, I could just picture us in our sanctuary standing up and clapping and swaying. So that is the message we're carrying out into our world with us today. So we are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives, and it's true, we'll make a better day, just you and I, and all of us together. Wow. Very, very inspiring. And the idea of getting together on Sundays like this really is to keep our fire lit. And as we go out into the rest of our week before we see one another again, we can carry the spark and the beacon that we are in northern Colorado and know that we don't have to do it alone. So in terms of announcements, the announcement that Janen made is that starting in September? We're going to start in September actually with our water communion, which is going to be in a couple of weeks. We'll have at 9:30 a service that is oriented towards our young people, but all are invited to attend. And every month we have a theme. Starting in September, our theme is renewal. And so it will be a chance to introduce the kids to our theme that then will also be in the adult services at some point during that month. So I hope that many of you will join us for that 20 minutes. It'll be the second Sunday of each month. And next week, it will be Fred Schreffinger, one of our new worship associates, and I, who will explore our September theme of renewal. And then the next weekend is our traditional coming back together again with our water communion. But how the heck are we going to do that when we can't come together physically? Well, what we're going to do is similar to what we did with the flower communion back in June. And that is that on the Saturday before, it will be on the 11th, we're going to have Janen film us, bring water and pour it into a common container, and then say where it came from. And then this year, we're going to add another dimension to it, which is you'll have an opportunity to sign the book, a membership book, a section in there with your name and a notation of where the water comes from. So remember that this is our holy water. And so this way we'll know what the holy water molecules contain. So I'll remind you again next week about that. But in the meantime, be safe. Just use common sense. You are just a wonderful, wonderful group of people. And so if you'd like to stay for our virtual coffee hour, thank you, Chad, so much for being our Zoomer this week. We still need a couple more Zoomers if you are willing to be trained by Sarah Suriani. And farewell for now. Take care, and maybe I'll see some of you in one of the breakout rooms.